Niantic has released all the information regarding what is coming to Pokemon Go in the month of January, and I really want to talk about it. That's what this video is going to be all about. I'm going to be talking about all of the different forms of content that is coming to Pokemon Go and giving my opinions on how Niantic is going to be starting off 2026. Alright, what's happening everyone? Jinsula here with a brand new Pokemon Go video. I hope your day is going really well, and let's get right into it. Alright, so we got information regarding all the content that is coming to Pokemon Go in the month of January. This is of course going to be the first month of the year, and in true fashion, there's not necessarily much going on. I mean, every single year in the month of January, it tends to be a bit of a lull year, and the reason for that is because in the following month of February, we usually get Pokemon Go Tour, which is a very exciting year, and it's full of a lot of really great content, especially the weeks leading up to it. So I think because of that, Niantic tends to tone down a lot of the excitement within the month of January because they want to build up that momentum going into Pokemon Go Tour. So yeah, I think this is going to be one of those months where a lot of players are probably going to take a bit of a break. I mean, it is in the month of January, which tends to be one of the coldest months in a lot of different places in the world. Like here in Chicago, it's one of the most miserable months to be in, and because of that, a lot of players do not tend to go out and play Pokemon Go as much as they usually do. And I think because of that, Niantic is always going to tone down the content because they don't want people to miss out on really great stuff because they just simply do not want to go outside. So yeah, I think that might be some of the reasons why this month is not necessarily that exciting. But yeah, regardless of that, let's go over the details for what we can expect in the month of January. And then afterwards, let me share some more thoughts. Let's start off by talking about the featured Pokemon for the month of January, according to Niantic. These are the Pokemon that they are going to be highlighting, specifically Tornadus, the incarnate form, Thundurus, the incarnate form, Genesect Burn Drive, as well as Genesect Chill Drive. And I can tell you straight away, this is nothing to be excited about. I don't think Thundurus and Tornadus have ever been relevant, and the same can go for Genesect. These are just all Pokemon that are essentially Pokedex entries at this point, because the incarnate forms of Tornadus and Thundurus are not even the superior forms. So yeah, there really is nothing here that really excites me, and maybe I'm completely wrong on that. But anyway, these are the featured Pokemon for the month of January, and they're basically going to be the ones that are going to carry this month. Now, let's go over what's going to be in max battles during this month, and I think out of all of these, maybe just one or two of them are actually worth going for. But between January 5th and January 11th, we're going to have Drampa in max battles, and then from the 12th until the 18th, we're going to have Caterpie, and then from the 19th until the 25th, we have Beldum, and then from the 26th until February 1st, we're going to have Roggenrola. Out of all of these, I will say Beldum and Drampa are the only ones that are really exciting because when it comes to Caterpie, we of course have the Gigantamax Butterfree encounter, which is going to be far superior, and then Roggenrola is just kind of there. So yeah, this is going to be the crux of the Dynamax content within this month, and if anything, Beldum is the one you will want to go after. Next, let's talk about 5-star raids because, of course, as we know through the featured Pokemon for this month, these are going to be the raid bosses. Now, from January 5th until the 16th, we're going to have both Genesect Burn Drive as well as Genesect Chill Drive, and then from January 16th until the 25th, we're going to have the incarnate form of Thundurus, and then from the 25th until February 4th, we're going to have the incarnate form of Tornadus. And my guess is that for the first week of February, we're likely going to get the incarnate form of Landorus, and yeah, out of these three, maybe Landorus is the only one that is actually worth going after. Now, coinciding with these raid bosses on the weekends during this entire month, you're going to be able to get Shadow Cresselia in 5-star Shadow Legendary raids. And I already know what you're thinking, Shadow Cresselia, out of all the Shadow Legendaries that are available, that's not exciting at all. And that is certainly true because we recently had an event featuring this particular Pokemon. So it's not like a lot of players are missing out on this particular one. And I really do think this is a very boring choice, but maybe that is intentional specifically because of January. Next up, let's talk about Mega Evolution raids. Now, from January 5th until January 16, we're going to have Mega Blaziken in Mega Evolution raids. Then from January 16 until the 25th, we're going to have Mega Sceptile. And then from the 25th until February 4th, we're going to have Mega Ampharos. And I will say that these are some actually powerful Mega Evolutions. And if you do not have the Mega Energy for any of them, then maybe that's the thing you're going to focus on during this month. Mega Sceptile in particular is the best grass type in the game, so if you need really solid grass types for raid battles, then Mega Sceptile is definitely something you should focus on. Alright, and now let's talk about the plethora of different events that we will be getting in the month of January, and I will say maybe 1 or 2 events actually stand out, and we really do not know how it's going to be, but yeah, let's talk about them. So first and foremost, on January 4th, we're going to have January Community Day Classic, and then from January 6th until January 11, we're going to have the Pinch Perfect event. And then on January 10, we're going to have Kyurem Fusion Raid Day, which in my opinion is probably the best event out of this entire month. And then from January 13 until January 18, we're going to have the High Zaptitude event. Now, this is a very interesting one because I really do think that there is a possibility that Zapdos is going to be a Pokemon specifically for this event. I don't know exactly what they're planning, but for an event called High Zaptitude, you know it's going to be something related to electric types, and it kind of implies that it's going to involve Zapdos in some way. So do keep an eye out for this particular event. And then we're also going to be getting January Community Day on January 18, and then from January 20th until the 25th, we're going to have the Precious Pals event. And then from the 23rd until the 25th, we're going to have the Precious Pals Taken Over event. And then from January 24th, we're going to have a Shadow Raid Day. And then from the 27th until February 1st, we're going to have the Into the Depths event, and that is an event that is usually very popular every single year. And then from the 31st until February 1st, we're going to have a Dynamax weekend. Alright, and finally, let's talk about the spotlight hours during this event, and yeah, unfortunately, only one of them is actually worth paying attention to, but let's go over them. So, on January 6th, we're going to have a Barboach spotlight hour featuring a 2x catch experience bonus, and then on January 13, we're going to have a spotlight hour featuring Mareep with a 2x evolution experience bonus, and then on January 20th, we're going to have one featuring Haytena with a 2x transfer candy bonus, and this is the one you will want to pay attention to. On January 27th, we're going to have a spotlight hour featuring Fungus with a 2x catch Stardust bonus. And the key thing regarding this particular spotlight hour is that Fungus is a bonus Stardust Pokemon. So you will be getting a ton of Stardust during this one particular spotlight hour, but it's not going to be as much as previous bonus Stardust spotlight hours. So that is something you should keep in mind, but I will say out of these 4, that is the one that actually stands out. And then of course, the raid hours during this month are going to coincide with the raid bosses. On January 7th, we're going to have a raid hour featuring both Genesect Burn Drive and Genesect Chill Drive. Same thing on January 14th. And then on January 21st, we're going to have a raid hour featuring the incarnate form of Thundurus. And then on January 28th, we're going to have a raid hour featuring the incarnate form of Tornadus. Alright, so the first thing that I have to say is that yeah, nothing really stands out with this month. I mean, when it comes to the raiding content, even the Dynamax content, or even the Shadow Legendary Raid that we're going to be getting on the weekends, there's just nothing really that good. I mean, some players might still need Genesect, some players might still need Thundurus and Tornadus. I can't imagine anyone really does at this point. I mean, aside from that, there's really nothing to look forward to. There's nothing that really pops off within this month. I think it's kind of disappointing, but it's also kind of expected because every single year, January tends to be kind of like one of the worst months of Pokemon Go. I don't know why, it just is that way. It seems like Niantic puts all their chips before January with like the holiday events and New Year's and all that stuff, and then they put all their chips after January with the Go Tour event and all the really good events that lead up to the Go Tour event. So yeah, unfortunately, just like every single year, January is going to be kind of a down month, but that's totally okay because we have a lot of stuff to look forward to. I do not think this is a sign that 2026 is going to be a bad year. I just think it just is a very typical standard for Pokemon Go and Niantic. January tends to be very boring. It tends to be filled with just non-content, you know? So yeah, I mean, I could be completely wrong. Maybe something in here is going to pop off. Maybe one of the, I don't know, the community days. We already know what the community day Pokemon are going to be. It's not necessarily that crazy. Maybe one of these in-game events is actually going to be really good. I really do not know. But from everything, how it looks on paper, it doesn't seem like January is going to be anything worth being excited about. And that's just my own personal opinion. Maybe it's going to be something that will lead to really great stuff afterwards. Who knows? But yeah, that's essentially all I really have to say. This is just all of my thoughts regarding the month of January, and of course, we did go over what the content is going to be, and maybe I'm just completely off. Maybe there is something here that is actually really cool. I want to know what that is. If you feel like there is something that I completely missed, definitely share what that is in the comment section down below. And yeah, maybe you can change my mind. Maybe we can just have a great discussion around this. That would be pretty cool. But yeah, with that said, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if it's your first time here. And yeah, that would be really cool for my channel. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff that you could do to help out my channel. Just go to the description down below. You'll see a whole bunch of links. Go and check those links out. It'll be full of some stuff that I'm involved in. So yeah, go and check that out. And yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, and love yourself today. And I'll catch you in the next one.